On National Tight Ends Day, the Arizona Cardinals finally have a tight end to celebrate, at least in the playmaking department. Yeah, Zach Ertz had a hell of a debut for his new team. Arizona Cardinals are 7-0. Brack, Alex Clancy breaking it down on this episode of Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rise up, Red Sea, and another week of football has happened, and the Arizona Cardinals haven't lost yet. They're 7-0. 7 weeks into the NFL season, something that any rational person wouldn't have predicted. But if you are a fanatic and you had the Cardinals at 7-0, a little golf clap to you. Brack, Alex Clancy hanging out with you. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen each and every day. We appreciate that. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards, at Clancy's Corner, at BOBRACK to follow me, Brack. And of course, subscribe to our new YouTube channel, approaching 1,500 subscribers. We're so thankful for you guys. Also approaching 1,000 Twitter followers. I mean, things are on the up and up, not only for the Cardinals on the field, but also for the Locked On Cardinals podcast. And it's all possible because of everybody that tunes in to us each and every day. Alex, it was a brutal first quarter for the Arizona Cardinals. Did not look good. What were they trailing? It was 5-0, 2-0 at one point. It was
2-0 at the end of the first, yeah.
One of those weird games, but they ended up pulling this one, just turning it in a complete rout after it was 5-3, and now the game ended 31-5, and the Cardinals just walked away. I mean, the second half they had an interception from Kyler Murray, but it had nothing to do as far as the final score was concerned. It was back-to-back weeks. We got to see Colt McCoy take snaps as the backup quarterback for the Cardinals.
Yeah, and that was the goal. That's what I said. Start the fourth quarter was, close enough. Kyler Murray looked great. They ran for 172 yards. The newest acquisition, Zach Ertz, led the team in receiving. James Conner tacked on a late touchdown scamper at the end of the game. Like, you had anytime score James Conner, right? And I had Zach Ertz was going to score a touchdown. So I think we both nailed that. All in all, they beat a bad team, and the bad team looked bad. That's pretty much what it was. And Vance Joseph, it's difficult to shut out two teams in a row, regardless of what they look like on the field in the second half, back-to-back weeks, and that's exactly what the Cardinals did. This is exactly the kind of win you were looking for. Dominant on both sides, a little rusty early on. Sean Kugler made his adjustments, and the offensive line held pretty much held up for the entirety of the game after the first couple series after the first quarter.
Yeah, I think you did see your franchise quarterback take too many shots in this game, including one that was a safety where he was slow to get off the field. He had to go to the blue medical tent, and there was question of whether or not he was going to continue the game. Kyler Murray comes out on the next offensive series, and that's really where this Arizona Cardinals team got going, almost like a wake-up call. Was it necessary? Probably. That first quarter, I think, was a wake-up call for this Cardinals team, reminiscent of the Jacksonville game. That was 2 quarters worth of football that was rough. But the Arizona Cardinals got it going offensively. They looked good. Kyler Murray spread the wealth. You saw 4 receivers, including Zach Ertz, who had a 47-yard touchdown reception in this game, the longest of his career, which is pretty wild to take into consideration that how good he's been, a 3-time Pro Bowler, but 47-yard touchdown for Zach Ertz. But 4 receivers, including Ertz, over 50 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. The 3 different guys, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and Ertz. 3 touchdowns for Kyler Murray in this contest. The bad pick, 20 for 28, 261, 6 carries for 10 yards. Another slow day on the ground for Kyler. But the other guys, James Conner and Chase Edmonds, did a really good job salting this game away in the second half.
Yeah. This is the exact – so the Texans' defense looked good in the first quarter, and then they pretty much – blew all of their video game stamina in the first quarter, I guess you could say. And they were on the field for the majority of this game, 34 minutes of the 60, which, again, we see in back-to-back weeks, the Cardinals dominate time of possession offensively. And, you just wear him down, and Zach Ertz was wide the hell open in the middle of the field. He was wide open. And, he turned on the Jets. He shows the 30-year-old, 31 next month, I think he said, still has some giddy up. Pretty much everybody that the Cardinals have signed that other people said were washed up, were, lost a step, whatever. I'm not seeing it yet. AJ Green, even 80%. I forgot that J.J. Watt was Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. I knew it was once or twice. I didn't know it was 3 times. If you can get 70% of a Defensive Player of the Year, you take it. And A.J. Green is a perfect fit for what Kyler offers. He put a dime ball down on 3rd and 24 down the right side of the field. I mean, A.J. Green's 6'4", and he catches everything. So the Cardinals are in pretty good. And then James Conner, again, another solid week. He looks like a rookie out there. He looks spry because he doesn't have to touch the ball 35 times again.
Right. Yeah. 10 carries, 64 yards. He did have the touchdown. James Conner continues to be just money in the bank. This went a little bit further out, but it was his 6th rushing touchdown in the season. The Arizona Cardinals, not only are they doing it, and just getting it done as far as winning games, but they're doing it in style. You're starting to see some numbers pile up. It's DeAndre Hopkins who's in the conversation. I mean, we're seeing a nutty performance from Cooper Kupp for the Rams this season, but DeAndre Hopkins is right there as far as touchdown catches. James Conner's racking up the TDs. Kyler Murray's having a great personal year. But we're seeing, team success, personal success. And, it's like, at first, people are like, okay, can the Cardinals find a playmaker opposite DeAndre Hopkins? And they've found several of them, no doubt about it. But then it's like, is there too many mouths to feed? And the answer is no as well. It's like they're being able to spread the ball around, keep these guys satisfied, and continue to just dominate. Even they were shut out in the first quarter, and they put 31 points up pretty effortlessly in this contest. And, we'll get more into the defensive performance because we continue to kind of get away from it, even though the defense continues to be this group that is the main reason that they are where they are as far as the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, Vance Joseph continues to show that he's keeping opposing offenses guessing regardless of, the level of talent that's on the opposing side. You talked, Brandon Cooks has had good games this year. He's been a fantasy darling in some capacity, being a later pick, knowing that Deshaun Watson may not play, and then Tyrod Taylor obviously going on the IR. But, this is what a dominant defense is supposed to do to a bad offense.
Yeah.
And they did it. You're not going to get credit for it because it's not a large feat to be able to do, especially with the amount of talent the Cardinals have and the lack of talent the Texans have on offense. But you still did it.
Yeah.
They covered handily the 19 and a half upwards of 20 before the game started. I think they're the only one that really covered that spread. I think weren't the Rams favored by 15 or 16 points?
Yeah.
And they ended up not covering. So, it was a dominant performance on both sides of the ball from second 1 to second 50. Second 60. Obviously, it didn't start that way, but the last 3 quarters, definitely.
Yeah. After, 3:03 in the first quarter, the Arizona Cardinals surrendered the field goal to the Texans, and then the Arizona Cardinals defense put the clamps on them. No more scoring for you the rest of the game, and the shutout was put into effect. Just 8 first downs for the Texans on offense, and they had to get most of it on the ground. Davis Mills couldn't really do anything throwing the football. Let's get more into this performance from the Arizona Cardinals and that defense, and also some more takeaways as far as what we thought was going to happen and what actually transpired, and then the Zach Ertz. What's going to happen with Zach Ertz now on this offense? Like, what's the expectation? What's the expectation now? And also, what's the ceiling for this team? Has it risen? And also, we'll get into the conversation of, with only a few days really before the NFL trade deadline, what's left to add? And what do you want to see from this team? And also start to talk about this Green Bay matchup. But the Arizona Cardinals, big-time winners, 31-5. Got to tell you about DirecTV Stream. It's a simple way to get all your entertainment that you love without the hassle. DirecTV Stream brings you live TV and on demand all in one place, and it gets together like never before, which means you can watch your favorite sports in real time, also flip between some on-demand movies and shows in one place. The best part, there's no annual sign-up. There's no annual contract. Stop waiting to get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more, directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Bo Brock, Alex Clancy, thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Here, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I think as far as the predictions, we both had the Cardinals going over 30. We both had the Texans under 20. I didn't think we didn't expect, the Texans to be that bad on offense, but the Cardinals put forth the performance just like the Bills. The Bills did notch the shutout, but the Arizona Cardinals continue to just prove, and it's just like J.J. Watt said a week ago when you saw it on NFL films, maybe we're just effing better than them. Maybe we're better than everybody. And that was certainly, they flexed on Sunday with a 31-5 rout of the Texans.
0 first downs given up on the ground. 6 first downs total by passing plays and 2 first downs by penalty. So this was a total and utter domination by the defense of the Cardinals. Yeah. And once this happens, look at what's happening to the Chiefs. Okay? Look at what's happening to the Chiefs. Not contractually, none of that. When one side of the ball isn't good, it doesn't matter how good the other side of the ball is because the game plan completely has to shift. You're expecting some sort of output from your defense. What we said before the season started was, if the Cardinals defense is top 12, like if they're defense 1 in fantasy, a QB1, if they're top 12 in defense and the Cardinals are top 10 in offense, they could make a very serious deep run. And the Cardinals defense now seems to be top 5. So, the offense has a lot more, and look at what the turnovers with Kyler. Like, obviously, we haven't seen one since, week 3? He hasn't thrown an interception, but you can get away with making a mistake or two on offense when your defense is playing the way that it is. You can take more risk, and it's in that, especially with this offense, with so many mouths to feed and so many options, this is kind of a risk-averse offense because it always seems like somebody's open.
Yeah.
And with the defense compounding it, what did I call? What did I call and tell you after the? What did I call and ask you after the? What was it after the AJ Green? Oh, it was after the Zach Ertz touchdown.
Zach Ertz touchdown. Yeah,
I was like, can the Cardinals win the Super Bowl? I asked, and I asked it kind of in jest because it's like, what's happening?
Well, I think it last year when you're watching the Suns on the run, at really no point did anybody realistically, say, hey, is this a finals team? And they went to the finals. You put yourself in a position to have success in the regular season and get, home field, home court, whatever it may be in the playoffs. And then also you continue to add pieces to your already solid roster. At this point, the Arizona Cardinals are absolutely in the conversation for a team that's going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl and could win a Super Bowl. Like they haven't had a letdown this season. Obviously they sneak past the Minnesota Vikings. That's the one kind of red flag on their schedule, but they still got the W in that game, unfortunately, because of Greg Joseph missing a 37-yarder, but still you take it. This is, upcoming the Green Bay Packers. That's going to be the next biggest test. Short week going up against an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, but they've already kind of had that. They went up against the Rams. They dominated the Rams. They went up against, Ryan Tannehill and the Titans, who had another big win on Sunday. They dominated the Chiefs. Arizona Cardinals are the best team in football right now. I don't think anybody can argue that. And the fact that they added Zach Ertz, it's scary, as you've said on Twitter. NFL, you're on alert right now.
This whole season, thank you, NFL Scheduling Committee, for this 2021 schedule, because every game has been a different litmus test. We talked about Tennessee in week 1. Okay, can the Cardinals go on the road and show face, save face, and not lose by 10 points going to start the season because they play 9 road games and 8 home games? They blow them out. Then week 2, okay, was week 1 a fluke? They get lucky, kind of towards the end. They go down 21-3, I think it was 20-3. They come back against the Vikings, squeak out a win at home. Then can the Cardinals go on the road against a young quarterback, a head coach who's never coached in the NFL, and show that they're the dominant team? And they did against Jacksonville. Then they go on the road. They're like, okay, this is the game. This is the one. How much of a fluke are the Arizona Cardinals through 3 weeks? Can they go play against the Rams, a team they've never beaten before, or keep it close? Can you keep it close is pretty much what we were saying. And who knows? At the end of the game, if somebody has the ball, whatever, they blow them out. Then come home. Okay, can you take care of business against a rival, against an interdivision rival, against a quarterback who's never started a game before? I don't think he had started a game at that point, and show that you're the dominant team. They squeaked one out, and then can you go on the road against a perennial playoff team over the last couple of years and keep it close and maybe get a victory. They won by 23 points. Like every game has been a litmus test. So this is the quote break game. And then Thursday is the regular season Super Bowl so far through 8 weeks for the Cardinals. Thursday Night Football, short week, at home, national coverage.
Yeah. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals right now are just giving up over 16 points per game. And 16.2, that's good enough for the best in the NFL. The Bills were idle this week. They're on their bye. They're at 16.3. The Arizona Cardinals are at 16.2. Where I mean, you don't have they're proving it in all areas. And it's unbelievable. We'll see what happens as far as Thursday night. That's the next test. There's a short week. How can they perform? We'll see if they get Chandler Jones back, but this defense continues to just be playing out of its mind. And that's what really separates, the good teams from the great teams each and every season is the ability to play defensive football. And, the Bucs can do it. The Chiefs used to be able to do it. That's kind of the biggest difference in turnovers, take care of the football. They're suffering from turnoveritis, but at the same time, like they can't defend anything. Arizona Cardinals can absolutely defend. They've got a good mix of veterans, and they've got a good mix of veterans with young guys who are flying around. Jalen Thompson, I want to say him first because I don't want to forget him. Isaiah Simmons, who again led the Arizona Cardinals in tackles on Sunday. Zaven Collins, I thought we saw 25 flying around there a lot more than we're used to. It'd be interesting to see what his snap percentage is tomorrow. But the Arizona Cardinals just dominated. But let's get more into this conversation about, what's the ceiling for this team? How high is it? Is it Super Bowl? And is it because of Zach Ertz? Does he add that little wrinkle that they've never had before? Like, we've never seen this, Alex. We've never seen this, not just since you and I have been covering the team. Ever since this team moved to the desert, they haven't had any tight end the caliber of Zach Ertz. And I'm not, shying away from that statement. That's absolutely true. Let's get into that conversation. Speaking of Zach Ertz, given the Arizona Cardinals offense already a tremendous amount of upside, but even more upside, let me tell you about the best app that if you drive, you need to know about. It's the Get Upside app. It's an incredible app for anybody who gets behind the wheel of a car and needs to know about. Get Upside. Our listeners are making up to 25 cents per gallon every gallon of gas that they fill up with. Download the Get Upside app in the App Store, Google Play right now. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN. That'll get you another 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's 50 cents per gallon that you'll get back with the Get Upside app. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN. 50 cents per gallon cash back first tank. Some people who drive a lot, Alex, they're making upwards of $200, $300 a month, and it gets added directly to your account. You can cash out anytime, your bank account, PayPal, e-gift card, Amazon, and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app. Use the promo code TOUCHDOWN.
And a touchdown in the energy protein bar department, Bo.
Yeah.
It's not my best. It's not my best. Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. They are. It's the healthiest candy bar ever. You can look at it that way. If you haven't tried a Built Bar by now, what the hell are you doing with your life? I mean, it's pretty much the only question you need to ask yourself. They say it's a protein bar, but it doesn't taste like one. I mean, you have to try one of these things. Bo and I were just talking about a new flavor, blueberry muffin. This month, they're coming out with a limited time flavor every 3 to 4 days. So most protein bars are normally chalky, gross. It tastes like you're biting into a piece of chalk, which is disgusting. But Built Bar is soft. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. And when you bite into it, you're eating something different. 18 grams of protein, less than 5 grams of sugar. All the flavors we've talked about, coconut, almond, strawberry, orange, depending on the season, salted caramel, double chocolate, mint chocolate, whatever. They're endless. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15 right now and get 15% off your first order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com.
It was National Tight Ends Day on Sunday, and the Arizona Cardinals have a tight end to really celebrate. Well, they should celebrate Max Williams and the incredible start to the season that he had, and everything he's done for the Arizona Cardinals has been great. Healthy and quick recovery for Max Williams as he returns from his surgery that he had on his knee. He tweeted out, posted on Instagram during the game that he was cheering on his squad. I think he was wearing his helmet as he was propped up with his surgically repaired knee, but 47-yard pass to Zach Ertz that was nearly overthrown. And we see Zach Ertz at 30 years old turn on the afterburners and go get that one and then coast into the end zone. 3 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. You mentioned James Conner. It's the same situation. It's guys that they might, James Conner, relatively young, but as far as a running back and the question marks as far as can he stay healthy, but he's in a situation where he just had 10 carries today for 64 yards at 6.4 yards a carry and a touchdown. Zach Ertz just getting, the 3 catches, as far as targets are concerned. He had, I believe Zach Ertz had 5 targets. So not seeing a bunch, but it's quality over quantity. And these guys are just, because there's so many talented players on the offensive side of the football, they're able to kind of keep these guys with a lot of left in their tank, and they're just ready to go when their number's called.
Yeah. Everything you said is right. It's just because everybody that the Cardinals have brought in, aside from really AJ Green, like AJ Green had that one, year where he was out for the year. I feel like sometimes players that are on bad teams don't play and stay injured a little bit longer because there's no real angst to get back on the field. Now, that's not a complete 100% absolute, but Zach Ertz has been he's been completely underutilized in Philly. Even when he was a top 3 guy, they could have used him more. Look at what Travis Kelce's done. Everybody knows he's getting the ball. Everybody knows he's their best receiver, and he continues to get the ball. Philly just never used him in his entirety. So he may be 30, and he may have injury, an injury history, but you're right. Especially in the 17-week season, and hopefully, if things shape up the way they do, maybe these, veteran guys will get some rest on the tail end of the season as the Cardinals set themselves up for a playoff run. But he wasn't touched. James Conner pretty much wasn't touched running into the end zone. It's not the utilization factor only. It's also the pounding that these guys take or don't take. James Conner was Arian Fostered in Pittsburgh. That's the turn where it's a complete overusage because you don't know how to run an offense outside of just pounding it to your running back, whether it be handing it off or throwing the ball. Just complete misuse. And what James Conner is doing, Chase Edmonds too. Chase Edmonds looks spry today, 81 yards rushing in his own right. Everything just seems to be working. And just as we're wrapping up this podcast, just keep this in mind. There are only 5 teams in the NFC with a winning record. 5. And it'll be 6 if the Saints win tonight. We're recording this on Sunday. So if the Saints win tomorrow, there will be 6 out of 16. So the playoff picture is really starting to frame itself already with 5 teams that are not only over 500, but pretty much running away in the win-loss column from the rest of the conference. Fortunately for the Cardinals, they have the Rams to worry about right behind them.
Yeah, you're seeing the as far as the cream rises at the crop, you're seeing the elite teams in the NFC take care of business, and they're avoiding any kind of letdowns. They're beating up on the teams that they should beat. Arizona Cardinals 3.5-point favorites early on against the Green Bay Packers. That's according to betonline.ag. So the Cardinals are 3.5-point favorites Thursday Night Football right out of the gates. We'll see what that line does. But Zach Ertz and his playmaking ability. And we saw a bunch of plays early on, and this is his first time being in this offense where he was open or other players were open on the field, and Kyler Murray wasn't able to get them the ball. But at the end of the day, it's still a successful day at the office for Kyler Murray in the Arizona Cardinals offense, but it can get better. It can get better, which is scary. The fact that Zach Ertz was there and DeAndre Hopkins play that happened where he was kind of a decoy and Nook was wide open in the end zone for his touchdown on the day. It's just, this is a scary offense. I think if any defensive coordinator is breaking down the film, it's going to put his brain in a pretzel on how he's going to attack this Cardinals offense. I know they came out slow, but holy crap.
Yeah. If he needs any advice, he can ask me because you make my brain turn pretzel shaped every time we do a damn podcast. If I could ask one play of Cliff Kingsbury's out on a date from today, it would be the DeAndre Hopkins inside pivot for a touchdown that was set up by Zach Ertz. As you mentioned, it's using him around because the Cardinals seem to have figured it out inside the 7-yard line or inside the 10-yard line. First and goal, that's not 1st and 10, first and goal, where there's really not a lot of wiggle room. It's only 10 yards in the end zone, obviously, to work with. Kyler Murray, they've punted on him running the ball inside, except for the 2 naked bootlegs that were pristine play calls. A lot of it's James Conner up the middle. We were calling for that, and it's not normal that he had a 20-plus yard run today or whatever it was. But Zach Ertz being another person to keep the defense honest inside just opens up a whole nother chapter of this offense inside the 5-yard line. And again, we saw it today. That was, I scream, like when you see something, like it's usually with basketball plays, like a sick dime or an alley-oop or something like that, a Steph Curry play. I screamed at the TV when I saw DeAndre Hopkins so wide open because it was a fake pick set.
Yeah. And
he just walked by him. It was magical. That was a great play call.
Cardinals go 3 for 4 in the red zone. Looks solid. They had another defensive 4th down conversion that they stopped. 2 of them, actually. They stopped the Texans twice on 4th down. So you start to see that number continue to pile up. I mean, it's been so impressive. And then 3rd down, they held the Texans to 2 for 13. They were 0 for 5 in the first half. So, in the previous couple games, it was like the Browns were 3 for 10. The Niners were 3 for 11. So the Arizona Cardinals are their defense is doing an incredible job in getting off the field, getting the ball back into this offense's hands, and they're putting up points. Only 160 total yards for the Texans today. I don't care who you're playing. That's impressive.
Yeah. I mean, it still kind of feels like you're being a college team's not the right, not like an AFL, like a CFL.
The 2018 team. Cardinals. That's who you're playing.
Yeah. And I mean, so again,
very little upside. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the 2018 Cardinals would not win a game in the 2021 season.
Maybe.
I feel like things have shifted. Like the offense has to put up points. I mean, I know they did beat Green Bay on the road that year. But yeah, good win on to home Thursday.
Yeah.
And you just tweeted out the Cardinals are 3.5-point favorite early.
Mm-hmm.
That you've got to think. So they're pretty much a half-point favorite on a neutral field. So it's as close to a pick 'em as you can think against the Packers. There are a couple of things that we know about Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about it a lot more, obviously, the next couple of days. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like anybody being around him. Like, you think Kyler Murray gets pissed off when he gets hit?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is the biggest baby when he gets hit in the NFL. He doesn't like it. He starts screaming at people, and that's the way to beat him. So we'll see if the defense can replicate in some capacity what they did today on Thursday.
Cardinals improved to 3-0 at home, 7-0 on the season. You break down this game. If you're the lone, setback or knock on this team is how the offensive line, I think, played in the first quarter, in the first half, primarily in the first quarter. You like to see that improve. You like to see Max Garcia, who I think is going to be the center for at least one more game, as Rodney Hudson is on it's a 3-week IR at least, right? So the most optimistic of scenarios for Rodney Hudson to get back, I think it's the next week against the San Francisco 49ers on the road. So no Thursday night football. And we saw, we didn't see any more like oopsie doopsie bad snaps, but gotta clean it up. Got to clean it up because, the Packers can play some defense. This isn't going to be, a team that's going to come out and just try to outscore you. It's not the old Mike D'Antoni Suns. Like, they play defense. So I think that this is going to be a tough game. And Thursday night football is one of those games where it can be fluky too. Like, the team that you're used to seeing week in and week out play on Sunday, like, you might get a different version of that on Thursday. Budda Baker is a guy, follow his status throughout the week. Kyler Murray's status is, I think, one that you need to keep tabs on. Chandler Jones, still waiting to see him get activated off the illness reserve lists. I got to watch what I say so we don't get flagged on YouTube. And then who else are we looking for as far as who got banged up on Sunday?
That's about it.
Relatively
as far as I remember.
Yeah.
And one thing before we part, just a little looking forward. Again, we'll talk about the Packers a lot more this week. Big win today. They have the Packers on Thursday, and then they go week 9 through 12, 49ers, Panthers, Seahawks, Bears.
Yeah.
Okay. So I thought the Bears got abused by Tampa Bay. Carolina lost to the Giants with all of their offensive players hurt. The 49ers, they're starting Jimmy Garoppolo tonight before we record this podcast. Like, it's going to be a perfect mid-season test for the Cardinals on Thursday. But if they can beat the Packers on Thursday, we're going to be having weird conversations, like really weird conversations, come Friday. And I'm here for it. I'm excited about it.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be having them Thursday night live from Alex.
You'll be at my place, bro.
I'm gonna be bringing the Bud Lights with
the wine coolers.
That's right. We're gonna be
Bowlegs kiwi strawberry wine coolers. If
and
anybody wants to know.
if the Cardinals win, yeah, we're gonna have a weird conversation because then it's gonna be 10 days off, right? It's gonna be 10 days until the next game. They'll get the entire weekend off, and then they'll hit the road and potentially be facing Jimmy G back at quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. But the guy's made of glass. We'll see if he makes it through Sunday Night Football tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Make sure you're following along on Twitter at Locked On AZCards. We want to get that to 1K. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Follow Alex at Clancy's Corner. Follow me, Bo Brock, at Bob Rack. Easiest way to find me on Twitter. Have a great rest of your Monday if you're tuning in then. If you're watching on Sunday night, have a great night's sleep. Enjoy your Victory Monday tomorrow. We'll talk to you Tuesday at 10 a.m. for the YouTube premiere. Podcast drops at midnight. Talk to you then.